And today's conversation is one of my favorite tools that helped me really shift massively in my life in a very, very, very short time. You see, so many of us are stuck at certain levels of success or fulfillment. And if you're like me, you must have grown up in a family where your parents told you to be modest, where your parents told you to be careful, don't shine too bright, and be worried that if you reveal your weakness, that you'll be taken advantage of. If that's true for you, put in the chat that's true for me, because I have a feeling there's many of us who grew up in a similar type of household. I myself grew up in what I call an impoverished home, where my parents were always afraid. Very few times in my life did my parents tell me to take big risks. Most of the time, I was told to be careful, to hide, to minimize, to conceal, to be careful. So here today, we want to talk about how to really make major shifts in your life with one of my favorite tools ever. And if you really use this tool, you will open up so many different portals for yourself in such a short amount of time. Listen, I'm a war surviving refugee, and I don't know about you guys, but I love shortcuts. I don't like reading a lot of books, going to a lot of lectures. I want to get the bottom line stuff so that I can use it and get to my life's purpose. And today's segment is going to help you really unlock big things in your life, but only if you actually use this tool. So what is this tool? This tool I call radical ownership. And radical ownership is actually one of the 4 pillars of Men of Means, our movement. Why did we choose this as a pillar? A pillar is a big thing. Why did we do that? Well, we found that this very tool is so important, it's so precise, is so useful, and a group of us tested this tool on every part of our lives. Imagine me giving you a tool that you can test drive in every part of your life to see if it's real, if it's true, and if it's useful. And for every single one of us who used this tool, we realized that it's universal. And we created it as a pillar of the entire movement. So what is it and how does it work? And what do I mean when I talk about radical ownership? You see, when I was growing up, I was told to hide. Hide. Well, what do you mean hide? Let me ask you, did your parents ever tell you to watch out, be careful, don't show it? Did you ever come home with some kind of a success and your parents said to you, okay, great job, but don't tell anybody? Were you ever in a place or position in your home where you had a challenge, you had a problem, and your mom and dad said, keep it quiet, keep it to yourself? How about your parents? Were your parents people who were going through challenges in their life, whether it was depression, alcoholism, or just being out of alignment, and neither of them talked about it openly? If you say yes to these questions, you are one of the 99%, right? Most of us grew up in households where our parents were impoverished in their mentality, and poverty people like to hide. So the opposite of ownership is hiding, concealing, minimizing, diminishing. Think about it. How often do people have a challenge that they minimize, hide, and conceal? All of us. All of us have been raised to hide and to avoid revealing. And what this does is, the damage this does is really profound. Because when you hide, when you conceal and minimize your challenges, what you also do is you hide, conceal, and minimize your light. They're both related. And when you hide, conceal, and minimize your challenges, what you're doing is you're creating shadows in your own life as a man. So what is the opposite of hiding, concealing, and minimizing? Wealth. Wealth is the opposite of it. When we are in wealth, we are owning, ownership. Another word for ownership is own your shit. Own your shit. How many people do you know that own not just their light, but also their challenges? Let's talk about that in a little bit deeper way. When we look at any financially successful organization, if you're into stocks like I am, of course, you take a look at the balance sheet of the companies that you're investing in. And every company that is successful, especially those on the stock market exchange called public companies, have a balance sheet. What's the balance sheet? The balance sheet says, on this side are my assets, on this side are my liabilities. The same applies to you. If you want to be wealthy, you get to own your balance sheet. Can I say your balance sheet? Your balance sheet. If I had an Iranian accent, I would say, own your balance sheet, bro. What does it mean to own your balance sheet? That means on one side are the liabilities. The liabilities are your challenges, your problems, the things that you're struggling through. How often do you minimize and hide your challenges, your liabilities? And you see what happens is when we go through life hiding, concealing the challenges that we have, there is no possible way to heal them. How can God, universe, creator, whatever you want to call it, this is not religious studies, but how can anyone or anything ever come and support you if you are not even revealing something to yourself? You're in denial, the Nile. You're floating in the Nile, just drifting, hoping that somebody comes and saves you. You see, I was 31 years old, and at this point in my life, I had achieved success by my definition. I was a financial advisor, Beverly Hills, California, managing $100 million of client wealth. I had clients who had invested their entire life savings in me. I was able to take all vacations, purchase my parents' vehicles. I had a girlfriend. I was even paying for her children to go to school. Man, I was feeling really empowered. And yet, there was challenges behind the golden mask that I was wearing. Behind the golden mask, I was struggling, suffering with sexual shame, desires. Any of you ever have a desire to cheat on your spouse? No matter how much you love them, you ever desire to be with other women? I mean, it's 99% of us, right? I had that. I had shame. I had challenges, traumas from many years. But I was wearing a golden mask. And if anyone asked me how I'm doing, I was like, I'm happy, I'm great, I'm successful. Look at my trophies. And I kept wondering, how am I ever going to heal and break through these challenges that I've been a part of in the past? And it wasn't until I took out this tool and learned how to use it that the challenges that I had suddenly started getting fixed, like faster than I could ever imagine. You see, most of us have been raised in families that tell us that in order to grow, you need to work really hard. You need to go through a lot of pain, a lot of suffering. You need to pay a lot of money, and maybe, just maybe, you'll heal. Not true. Not true. You see, there are many forces, many energies, many people who have been sent to your life to support you. But the first way, the key to unlock all of the wealth of the universe is to first own your shit. Own your shit. Ownership looks like really having a serious conversation with yourself. And it's not about blame. Blame is easy. Blame is a fawn. And those of you who watched our Man Inside course, which is available to every single one of you in our community. If you go to Circle and you go to the video courses section, we have a 90-minute course that will change your life called the Man Inside. And so many of us fawn. Fawning is a way of ejecting from uncertainty, ejecting from discomfort. And a fawn is when you blame yourself. It's so easy to blame yourself and not take ownership. The more Bigger challenge is to say, look, I'm not going to bullshit myself and just blame myself. Let me just take an objective look at my assets and liabilities. Let's see what these challenges that I'm working through are without putting myself down, without hiding it. And at some point saying, hey, listen, guys, these are the beautiful challenges that I'm working through. Look at these. Aren't they gorgeous? Look at them. Wow. I know that I'm going to solve all of these challenges because I am an owner. I operate in the field of wealth. I no longer need to hide from these, and I no longer need to conceal them from anyone because I own them. They are mine. I am proud to have them. Thank you. You feel the energy of that? If you feel the energy of that, please put that in the chat. If you feel the energy of that, put that in the chat. Do you see the adjustment I'm making here? It's subtle, but really strong. You see, 99% of human beings take the liabilities and they hide them. How many friends do you have whose, excuse my language, how many friends do you have whose shit stinks, but they pretend like it doesn't? And everyone around them is like, bro, your shit stinks, man. And they're like, who, me? Yeah, you. But no one can shove that stuff down their throat. Only they can own it. Don't you wish most of your friends owned their shit? How many of you would actually be happy and grateful to lend a hand to a friend who actually owns his shit instead of a friend that you have to convince to own their shit? Raise your hand. I mean, we are all here to support each other as human beings. We're all here to support each other. And yet the only way to get permission to support your friend is if he or she owns and says, hey, I'm having this challenge. I am struggling with alcoholism. I am depressed. I don't know what to do with X, Y, and Z. The same goes for you. There are so many people, so many resources that are available and here to support you in your life, but only if you're actually willing to take ownership first and foremost. You see, brothers, when we don't take ownership, we are in poverty. And poverty, I call it sideways action. You ever see people who are in sideways action? They kind of hint at things. It's called being passive aggressive. You ever notice, you ever go to like a restaurant with a friend and the check comes out and they kind of like look the other way and pretend like the check's not on the table? What is that? That's sideways action, poverty, pretending to not see. You ever have a person that you lend money to and you give them the money and they say, oh, I'll pay you back in a week. And then you see them next week and they don't even say anything. And you see them the week after, they're like, oh, how you doing? Like nothing ever happened. Meanwhile, both of you know that there was an agreement here. Like, what the fuck? This is a form of betrayal. It's actually a type of, the word was affair. How many affairs do you have with lies? How many relationships do you permit in your life that are affairs, sideways transactions? An affair is when you and a friend agree to something, and then the next time you see each other, nobody says anything, as if it was never happening. That's an affair. I don't allow affairs to happen in my life anymore. And I'm inviting you to be more full frontal in all of your actions, transactions, and relationships. So what does it look like to be full frontal? What does it look like to be full frontal? Full frontal is all about wealth. Wealthy people, they don't hide the truth. They don't play sideways. When the bill comes at the restaurant, they don't pretend like it didn't come. They grab the bill and they say, hey guys, here's the bill. I would like for us to split it. How's everybody doing with that? What you got? What you got? Because I'm a leader. I'm taking ownership of this thing. I'm not waiting for someone to tell me. You feel me on this, guys? Ownership is you go first. Ownership is you call it before anyone else calls it. That is true leadership. You see, when we are in a space of wealth, we own before anyone sees it and calls it. I'll give you an example of what this looks like. I work with a group of incredible men. And one of the philosophies that we all participate in our team, is radical ownership. And so often, one of us, each of us, makes a mistake. We all do. We're human. But in our team, when someone makes a mistake, they don't wait for someone else to catch it first, see it first, call them out first. No, when they make a mistake, they're like, hey guys, I want to say something. I just made a mistake at this. Here's my ownership. And I need to take ownership and solve this because I know I can. Thank you so much. God bless you. You see, when you're operating in ownership, every circumstance is an opportunity. There is no way to fuck it up, even if you tried. When we grow up in a poverty household, parents tell us, see if this is true for you. Our parents tell us, you better be careful because if you fuck up, you might die. You might get in real trouble. You might be sent away. And so what happens to us and our nervous system as men is we start to become impoverished. This is the body language of the poverty person, just constantly blocking, pretending, hiding, don't see me. And guess what happens when you're in this poverty position? What happens is you also start to hide something else that's very important. Your light. This is your light. And it's related to your ownership. And for every one of you who is hiding your challenges, hiding and concealing your problems, what you're also doing is you're hiding and concealing your greatness, your light. You see, when we step into ownership, we have no fear in owning our challenges openly with our friends. Hey, look at these. Aren't they beautiful? I'm struggling with my finances. I feel scared with my relationship. I'm having some sexual shame and I feel really scared about that. I really feel actually scared to talk about that. But here's what I'm working with. How about you? That gives permission to others to say, wow, holy shit, you can do that? Yeah. And conversely, this was our liability on the balance sheet. We have the assets on the balance sheet as well. Guys, I can't tell you how incredible I am as a public speaker. Guys, I can't tell you how much of a mover and shaker I am in the industry of finances and investments. If any of you have any financial questions, you ask me. Guys, I can't tell you what an incredible men's coach I am. I'm probably one of the best men's coaches in the entire world. Money back guarantee. Okay? Both are ownership. And this takes us out of the poverty position of, holy shit, if people see me, I'm in trouble, to, hey, I have confidence that I can show you all of myself transparently, and I will be the one to own it first before you even say it, see it, or call it. It's my integrity that I'm owning. Let's take a deep breath around this, please. Take a few deep breaths. By the way, brothers, I'd love to hear from you. If this is penetrating you, if it's going inside, please put a number 1 in the chat. If it's going inside, put a number 1 in the chat and allow me to also receive from you, because when you receive from me and you give feedback, I'm like, wow, yes, it's working. And it really energizes me, makes me feel very grateful and excited to be of service to you. My life is committed to serving you. So every time you give me feedback, I get to be a better leader. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm looking at all the ones in the room. Thank you. Beautiful. So ownership is wealth. Wealth is full frontal. It's not sideways energy. It's not passive. It doesn't operate in sarcasm. It operates full frontal. A compliment happens full frontally, not sideways. Hey, I love the way you look. Your eyes are shining. Your smile opens up my heart. Full frontal. Also, apologies and ownership happens full frontally. Guys, I believe I messed this up. I could have done a way better job. I take ownership. What can I do to fix it? How can I resolve this issue and any damage I caused to anyone? I am the owner. Thank you. The same goes for me to all of you. I take ownership for this entire community. If there's anything that I could do better, I will call it first. And if you call it before me, damn it, you win. Because I'm in the game of true ownership. I'm not waiting for you to pick on me. I'm looking at how to improve myself. And I know that the more I reveal, the more I heal. The more I reveal, the more I heal. You see, when we are in a space of conservation and concealment, God cannot come in and grab your hand, open it, and heal you. When you're here, what you're saying is, no, thank you, I will pass. I'm just going to stay right here. But it's until you open and you say, God damn, this is scary, but these are my problems. I own them. Thank you, God. I'm sharing them with the world. Only then does the energy come in and swiftly shift everything for you by providing you all the resources you've been waiting for. No healing happens in hiding. No healing happens in isolation. Healing happens in the open space, in the light, not in the dark. Okay, so what is the truest form of ownership, and how can you really, really take ownership? Mechanically, the truest ownership is emotions. Emotions, the truest form of ownership. What do I mean by that? Look, it's one thing for me to sit here and own some bullshit and say, hey, man, I take ownership. I grew up in a really bad household. Where's the ownership of that? Hey, I take ownership. I have self-worth issues. That's not ownership. Guys, I take ownership. I lack self-confidence and self-esteem. That's not ownership. These are all stories. They're imaginations. What is true ownership is the emotion. Here's the real ownership. Guys, I take ownership. I am really scared to step forward. I just feel a lot of fear all the time when I'm in front of groups. Guys, I want to take ownership. I feel a lot of shame when I'm around women because I have a lot of sexual shame that I don't know what to do with. True ownership happens by revealing what's inside of your heart. Boom, here's what I'm struggling with. Instead of the story of what happened to your parents and how you were raised, that's not ownership. Why? Because you have no control over that. So what emotions can you reveal? What emotions do you struggle with that you often hide in front of people, and especially with yourself? How often do you feel shame, scared, sad, angry, jealous, and yet you pretend like you're not? In that moment, you're in poverty. The wealthy version of it looks like just owning it. Guys, I just want to stop for a second. I noticed some sadness came up for me in just this moment. It's something I've been struggling with in secret. I just want to reveal that to all my friends so that you know that it's something I'm working on. It's a beautiful part of my life that I'm working with. So thank you for letting me share. And notice, as I share it, it's not because I'm trying to inform you. It's not about you. It's not an information exchange. It's a reveal. And within a reveal, even if nobody hears it, the reveal has happened energetically. So how much are you revealing versus how much are you concealing? And this reveal really opens the field of possibility to come in at such levels that you have never experienced before. I mentioned I was 31 years old. I had sexual shame. I was cheating on my girlfriend, sleeping with prostitutes, watching porn. I was doing everything you can think of in the background while wearing a suit and tie in the foreground and being a nice guy, being a people pleaser. And one day I said to myself, this shit cannot last. How can I continue this? It's heavy. There's no way I can heal this by myself. So what would happen if I pressed the most insane button there is, the ownership button, where I literally just own and reveal everything? Well, I didn't have the guts to do that all at once, but I started one at a time. I started by sharing about my sexual shame. I hung out with my sister one day. I was like, hey, you know what? I feel really scared to talk about this, but I've had some sexual shame. I don't know what to do with it. And there's nothing you need to do about it, but I just want to reveal it because I'm tired of hiding it. Thank you. Finances. Man, I had money traumas for so many years. Even when I had money traumas. And so many of us men, when it comes to money, we hide, conceal, and feel shame. What would it look like if you started to first own it with yourself and said to yourself, fuck, I feel angry that I struggle with money. I feel angry about it. And instead of me beating myself up because of this anger, what would happen if I just owned it and said, wow, look at this objectively, beautiful. Fuck, money traumas. Damn it, it's painful, but I see it. I recognize it. I don't need to hide it anymore. And now I'm going to slowly start to reveal it to others. When I'm with a friend, I could somehow slip in there that, man, I feel a little bit of shame around my finances, but it's something I'm working on. I'm not trying to beat myself up around it. It's something I want to reveal. Thank you for letting me share. Everything in your life will change. This is an invitation to you. If you've been praying and you've been asking God, God, what do I do with this struggle? How do I deal with this person I'm dating and it's not working? How do I deal with my sexual desires, my fantasies, the things that are driving me fucking crazy? All is healed when it is revealed. And so if you are interested to go deeper into this work, because it comes in layers, and I would love to show you and teach you how to identify your emotions, how to work with your emotions, how to reveal your emotions. What we have is the Guardian Training Program that starts in about, I don't know how many days, 30 or 60 days from now. We're just giving you a heads up. We have a class of men who are just graduating from it. We celebrate with an initiation weekend, a retreat-like experience at the end. But this is the program. You may have been seeing it on Circle. And this program is a paid program where we're going to teach you really advanced level work so that you can hold space for yourself and eventually hold space for others in your life, so that you don't need to hide anymore and you get to celebrate. Celebrate is the key. And I want to talk about that in just a moment. You see, every single one of us in this space are truth seekers. Truth seekers, please do not take my word for anything. Do not rely on me. This is why many of us dislike religion, because when people rely religion, they're outsourcing the truth. So many people send money to a religious institute and say, okay, you figure out the truth. I'll be right here. Send me some prayers. But in this organization, as we are working with the energetics of truth, it is on you to test all of this to see if it works for you. And in the field of truth seeking, we can all agree that you cannot hide. So if you are a truth seeker, where are you hiding your truth? If you are a truth seeker, a person who wants to have a connection, direct connection with the source of all things, where are you hiding? Before it reveals itself, you get to reveal yourself. And this takes courage, because it's very easy for us to hide and avoid, and yet it's so costly. Truth seeker needs to own his truth, meaning radical ownership, which is one of the 4 pillars of the Men of Means movement. Something that'll help you with this is our 5D breath work every Thursday. Every Thursday morning, we have a world-class, and I mean it, world-class breathworking expert. He's a brother in this community. His name is Lee Davey, and he's not just good at his craft, he's got a heart the size of a lion's. And if you choose to start to own your truth, whatever that is, you could attend this session every Thursday morning and make that your intention right before you go into the breathwork. And as you go into breath work, you can start to reprogram your consciousness to be more comfortable with owning your shit. And over a very short period of time, with the help of our brother Lee Davey, what you'll find is that it will be so easy for you to own all of it, the dark and the light. And you see, this here is very connected to your purpose, to devotion and to God. How many of you are interested in being on your purpose? Please raise your hand if you're interested in finding or stepping into your purpose. Okay, thank you. I can say to you that I have found my purpose. You can see it. I'm lit up every Saturday. I always tell people I would pay to do what I'm doing. And the purpose comes from finding your truth and stop hiding from the fears. Because as you start to own the light and the dark, what starts to happen is you start to see things that you may have never seen before because previously you were in poverty, hiding, like in a bomb shelter. But as you peek your head out into the field of ownership, what you start to see is all of the parts of your life that you've been ignoring because you've been afraid to address. And now you're like, oh shit, I think I can do this. I got brothers around me. I got people who are doing this with me. And I heard about this technology called prayer. Maybe that works. I don't know. Let's check it out. I heard about radical honesty, radical ownership, radical integrity. Holy shit, maybe I can do this. And I stand here for you as a brother, as a leader, to encourage you, to remind you that no matter what you are going through, how bad the shame is, how bad the sexual trauma is, how bad the financial situation is, how dear and bad the relationship is that you're in, that all of it is actually a gift for you. And the only way that you can receive the blessings of this gift is if you have the courage to open the gift wrapping. Sometimes the gift wrapping looks ugly as shit. Sometimes it's got horror pictures on top of it. But when you start to open it, what you'll start to see is things that you never imagined are blessings. And in this field of radical ownership, what will happen is once you open these boxes, these blessings, you will start to celebrate at levels that you've never ever celebrated before. Your level of joy, your level of light will start to shine in ways where your family and friends will say, what the fuck did you do to yourself? What happened? What are you on? How come you look younger? Why are you so vibrant? Because when you start to own, you start to notice the truth seeking, and you start to realize that the whole thing is actually a blessing. None of this was meant to hurt you or punish you. It was the programming that told you to be careful, to avoid it, that you cannot handle it. And when you start to take the risk of opening and sharing your gifts with the world, you'll realize that you are on your life's purpose, that all of this was created just specifically, polished and tailored just for you as the greatest blessing of your life. So brothers, as I close this conversation, I celebrate each and every one of you. No matter what you are going through, it is a blessing. And it's on you to own it at such a level that it no longer owns you. And to start to experiment with your courage and to start to share and shine your light. Because when you shine your light, it not only heals you, but it gives permission to everyone around you to start to open and unwrap their gifts as well. Brothers, God bless you. Thank you. And it's an honor to be in this field with you. I learn as I teach. Keegan, I'm handing it back to you, brother.